This
Got you on
conference will now
speakerphone
be
here. I
recorded.
got my office manager Pam is in here with me.
Oh, hi, Pam.
Hi.
Nice to meet you. So, yeah, let me know whenever you guys are ready for me to get started.
I am all ready.
Okay, great. So, a little bit about me. I've signed on many businesses to Intuit Field Service Management. I sell all the QuickBooks products and really can speak to any of them. Additionally, I frequently help my customers upgrade their existing QuickBooks and add payroll or merchant payment services to their existing QuickBooks. And I also have a special discounted rate of 20% off of all QuickBooks products because I'm a premier reseller. So if you're interested in speaking with me, Chris or Pam, about any of the QuickBooks products that you have or you would like, feel free to ask me about those during our time together too. So, you know, today I'm just going to walk you through, a typical workflow. The office is going to create the work order from Intuit Field Service Management and dispatch the job to the technician. And the technician is going to receive that job on his mobile device using the Intuit Field Service Management app. And then the work order will come back to the office for approval. And I will show you how those work orders will become a paid or a non-paid invoice. So, and then of course, before I jump in, I'm going to hear from you guys a little bit about your company and then what you're looking for in particular.
Okay.
Let me just go onto my next slide here. Okay. Oh, yeah. So what is Intuit Field Service Management? It's a work order scheduling system really that's designed for your service, repair, and equipment maintenance and installation company that talks to QuickBooks Online or QuickBooks Desktop. It's ideal for heating, cooling, plumbing, electrical, garage door, alarm security, and many, many more companies. So here are some of just the quick overview benefits of Intuit Field Service Management. You can easily dispatch and schedule jobs. There's no double entry required, so writing up the work order and then entering that invoice into QuickBooks, and we'll cover that. An electronic copy of all the work orders. So when you create a job, you're never going to say lose it ever. It's going to never leave the pending active view until it's been completed. Ability to track jobs by stage of completion. So a job goes on hold, you're going to be able to know exactly where that job's at just by seeing the color of that job and seeing that it is on hold, and you'll be able to easily tell right away where it's at, what stage it's at. Flagging or putting jobs on hold, very simple with this system without losing the job again. Easily track service history, I'll show you that as well. And you can pull up your technician's GPS location on a map, and you can easily track all the preventative maintenance work that you have in all those contracts. And then, of course, you can track time by job that integrates with QuickBooks on the weekly timesheet. So here's some of the pricing. I'm making a note. I don't have all the pricing that's included on this slide. Sorry, that's embarrassing. The base fee is $35 if you've got 1 to 10 users per user per month. So if I've got 5 technicians on the program in one office personnel, that would be 6 users times $35 would be the fee. That is $210 a month. So if you go above 10 users on the system, that price goes down to $31. If you'd like to track time, it is an additional $15 or $13 additionally if you've got above that 11 users. So if I wanted to track time and I wanted to use, of course you have to use the base license, it would be $50 per user per month. And then it does go down after that. If you wanted to also add a preventative maintenance module, so reoccurring work orders, it would be an additional $15 on top of that. So your base fee could be as high as $65. And the base license
we're going to be in the 11 to 40 users. Does the scheduled maintenance fee drop down to the $13.33 as well?
Yes, it does. And I'm sorry, I don't know why I don't have that on here. I just touched up this PowerPoint yesterday, and for some reason I didn't include that. Yes, it's $13.33. And I will walk through that today as well. So I've done enough talking. I just want to hear from you guys, Chris and Pam, tell me exactly, what you were envisioning, or software perhaps like this to help with
Well,
something that you have.
where we're coming from, a year ago, May, we signed on with Field Edge.
Right.
Which is a partner of Intuit. There are some things about Field Edge that I really, really like, and there are some things that drive me absolutely bonkers. We like the fact that it's a place to track your customer, track your work orders, track your jobs. It's all in one platform that the guys can bill out and even collect while they're on site standing in front of the customer. And then I go through, or Pam or anybody else in here can go through and review those orders before they're actually uploaded into QuickBooks. That's kind of what we're after. Now, the faults that we're running into with Field Edge is it is an extremely slow program, and there are some discrepancies because Field Edge typically only sends data to QuickBooks. There are some things that it draws from QuickBooks, but I don't quite understand the parameters there. So if you change the price of an item in QuickBooks, Field Edge would never know the difference. So there are some duplications there on pricing that I do not care for. Is probably my biggest gripe is the speed and talking back and forth.
Okay.
Now, whether or not Field Service can bridge that gap or not, I don't know. I do know that you'd mentioned that because we're an enterprise user, we actually have a license of this, and maybe we're smart to just, activate it, or whatever the appropriate term is, to make it to where we can play with it here in the office so that we can have more intelligent questions to ask. I assume with the one user, I can make and create and do anything I want live on that system. Obviously not share it with my field techs, but I or somebody else on my computer in the office can mess with it. Is that correct?
You're right. You can. Yep. You can use it for free, live, no trial. It would actually be the real program for free because you're an enterprise user. And Field Edge is associated with QuickBooks. I mean, they can integrate with QuickBooks because there's open API, but they're not QuickBooks' product, and they're not affiliated with QuickBooks. So if you call it no, and I'm just letting you know because I don't know how they put it to you. I don't know how they spun it from a marketing standpoint. So I just wanted to let you know.
I don't remember the exact verbiage, but going in all along, we knew that it was a separate program that gave us the ability to integrate data into QuickBooks.
Got it.
I don't think that we were misled in any way.
Okay, good, because that's what I was hearing, and I wanted to make sure.
Some of the things that we have had issues with, until we physically were able to put it to use, you would never know.
Right.
And don't get me wrong, it's miles ahead of what we used to do before, when everything was based off of a sheet of paper.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, and you have to. I think it's so great to start with any program at all, just to get your feet in the water so you know what you want. So I think it's fantastic that you're using a service program. It's much better than only sticking with paper for the rest of your history. So it's definitely good to try out an electronic system. And there are really good things about Field Edge, and there are, like you said, not so good things that drive you crazy. So that I'm really happy that I have the opportunity to meet with you guys.
Going through the list when I had written down the other day, and I know we had a brief conversation, but there was a couple things that we wrote down based upon our very first meeting that I had questions
Yeah.
You had mentioned the integration or the ability of a GPS system tied to, I believe, the phones.
Yes.
Is that an extra fee as well?
It's not. No. Nope. It's
So
all
is that
included.
tied into the original $35 fee, or is that the time tracker? What is that associated with?
Yeah, that's associated with that $35 base. Sorry,
Okay.
it would be for you. It would be that $31 base fee.
And the reason for my asking, I do have a GPS system, but it's a second vendor that's over and above.
Mm-hmm.
So, and there are some benefits other than just tracking. We're actually tracking the vehicle.
Yeah.
So whether or not we continue with that or not is up in the air. But anyway, I wasn't certain if that was an additional item. Does this mean we have more use? The user license, I think we answered this before, but just to reiterate, anybody that has access to the program is a user license.
Yes. Exactly. So if I'm going to log on to the program from the browser, I would need a username and a password. If I'm going to use the mobile application from the field, I would need a username and a password. So yes, anybody that can access the program. You can also have non-users too. So you still like a helper. The helpers don't
Yeah.
necessarily have to have a license. They can still get an alert by email that they've been assigned a work order, and they can still have that job information, by email, and they can still be on really the dispatch board is the reason why you should create a non-login user so that they can have a place on your schedule.
Okay, but we don't necessarily have to have them as a paid user.
Yeah, exactly. That's right. Just so that way, when you're looking at that dispatch board, you're looking at the schedule for the day. You can see the non-login, the people that don't have a paid license, their names are still listed on your schedule.
Okay.
And that's what's the important thing is that they're a place
Okay.
holder. They have a place on your schedule, and you can assign jobs to them. Yes, you can assign jobs to them without a paid license.
Okay. When I add a new customer,
Mm-hmm.
that get entered in or added in QuickBooks or in Field Service?
Either it doesn't matter. Wherever you'd like to add it, you should whatever's easier for you. Like if you're working inside QuickBooks and you don't have field service open, you most certainly can add that customer. And then once you run that synchronization between the programs, then that customer would be added. So most of the time you're going to be adding that customer from Intuit Field Service Management because they're going to be calling in, and you're going to be creating a work order inside Intuit Field Service. So you're going to hit new customer inside Intuit Field Service Management. And when you synchronize for the day, you'll do it maybe once a day, or I have some customers that do it once a week. That at that point, that new customer will pop over to QuickBooks.
How long of a process is that? And does that affect working on either program during the time of synchronization?
It doesn't. Yeah, and I'm going to walk through it today. I'm going to show it to you live, and it just takes about 2 minutes, and you'll get to see that.
What if I have more than one technician assigned to the same project? Currently with Field Edge, if I have more than one, I must designate a primary technician, and they are the only ones who are allowed to enter data other than their time tracking.
Yeah, so you can assign multiple technicians to a work order. That's fine. There would just be one primary, and then the rest would be secondary. And the one that is primary can change the data on the job. If you want multiple technicians to be able to change the data on the job, then just what you would do is you would just assign another work order for the same customer to multiple technicians. But if you're okay with just the one editing the data, then you would just assign the one primary and the rest secondary.
Can the primary technician be switched around in the midst of the job?
Yeah, absolutely. Mm-hmm. Yeah, you could just edit the
Okay.
assignment and change that technician. I think it would be good at this point for me to just walk through the demonstration. I think that will probably answer most of your questions,
All right.
and you can just stop me as I'm going along.
All right.
So, and ask your questions. So, I'm just going to create a work order, and I'm just going to select, one of my residential
Actually,
customers.
can we create a brand new customer and create a work order
Yeah, absolutely.
and get rid of this? Is the tax code taxable, non-taxable? Can we have multiple rates in there?
Oh yeah, definitely.
Because currently we have 2 service areas that have different tax rates.
Yep. As many sales tax items as you have. That's where I'm from, Woodbury, Minnesota. That's my house. That's where I'm from. It's getting warmer out here. What is it like by you guys?
We're supposed to get rain a little bit today, so it's kind of gloomy.
Kind of gloomy. Let me look. Oopsie. All right. Okay, so I've just got a new customer here, and I'm just going to say new work order. And it's just bringing me right into the customer. And at this point, I'm on the phone with her. The next time she calls in, after we service her for the first time, I can go ahead and easily edit this information. So if she's changed her address or this is not correct, I would just hit edit, and then it would bring me to that area to change her address. And then same thing with her phone number or her email address. If this isn't correct, I would just hit edit, and then it would bring me here where I could change that information. So I'm just going to proceed to the next step, and it's bringing me through a wizard: customer, problem, assignment, and then review and confirm. So I'm going to hit next, and I'm just going to select what it is I'm doing today. So maybe there's a sink that's clogged.
Can we create these categories?
Oh yes, yep, you would change all these categories. I would do that with you. And I'm going to hit next, and now I'll go ahead and schedule that job maybe for today. And if you wanted to say schedule it for another day, say the next day, it would just move you to the next day. And how you know it's not today's date is because that black line isn't running down the middle of the screen. So this is represents the current time, and then this is a gray bar. You can move it to see the technician schedules. So the text run across the left-hand side, and then the time runs across the top. And I can see here that I'm in the central time, right over here in the lower left-hand corner. I'm going to go ahead and select today and do a 2-hour arrival window. And if you need to block off more time, you would just move it like that.
Can the time designated be associated with each type of diagnosis? So you had mentioned in here, I don't remember what you picked, leak, whatever. Can we predetermine that leak is a 2-hour window and another problem is potentially a 4-hour window? Do we get to set that up ahead?
Yeah, exactly. Yep, exactly. And then so this estimated duration would have a default. That would be so if I said this clogged sink, is clog sync equals 1 hour, then it would just be 1 hour. If I said clog sync equals 3 hours, when I was doing those in my settings for the first time, it would say 3 hours. And of course, it's very simple to change whenever you want to make a change. So I'm just going to select, as many helpers as I want here. So let's just say I assign Bob, a helper for the day. And I'm going to hit next and finish. And now that has been completed, and the work order number's here, and I can hear I just got it. And I'm just going to click here, and then I can just see the work order here. I can see who the primary tech is, who the secondary technician is here. I can see this invoice total here. So if you'd like to add the pricing before they go out, you can absolutely do that. So if I know right away there's a service trip charge and I want to help them out and just add their labor for them, just hit add. Of course, they can change it if they're there for more than 1 hour, but I just wanted to add the service trip charge and the labor for them. So it's already on their phone, and then I'm just going to hit save. So that's done. So the technician is going to be able to already see the $140 on his phone when he shows up. And some of my customers are doing this because it's really motivating to the technician. Hey, they're already more than halfway done with that invoice. I guess I can accept a check today, and I have time. So that's always better than maybe, billing out, getting the payment right away.
Yeah.
So I'm going to go log in to the app here, and let me just pull it up. So it was this white wrench with the blue background, and I'm just going to open that up, and I can see here that I've got an alert. And I did make a sound as well. And I'm going to go to waiting for pickup. So appointments will fall under waiting for pickup. So the categories that you'll be looking in as a technician will be waiting for pickup and picked up. So picked up are jobs that you've begun, but you haven't yet completed. And then completed today is the jobs that you have completed for that day. I'm sorry, I was hearing, was there a question that I'm just speaking over? Okay.
No, not yet.
All right, so I'm just going to hit waiting for pickup, and the work orders are going to come in order of how they were assigned. So Rachel Soren is ahead of Ellen Smith. So I'm going to start with Rachel's work order. And this was from yesterday at 4 o'clock. So I'm going to start with this one. And I'm going to call the customer to let them know I'm on the way, because I can still see it says yesterday at 4 o'clock. So I'm just going to touch base with the customer here. Or maybe I'm going to call the office first to say, hey, has anybody let this customer know that I couldn't make it out there yesterday? So I'm calling the customer. The customer says, great, come on out. And then I'm going to hit the service address. And luckily, I'm only a minute away. And I'm going to get there, and I'm going to go ahead and start the job. So I'm going to hit pick up, when I acknowledge to the office that I'm ready to start that, ready to get going on that work. So, I do have some of my clients, customers that pick up the work order a day in advance, and you're not going to have that time card start tracking that. You're not going to have that time card start tracking that time until you're actually en route. So I'm just trying to find this job. Here it is. I'm under Rachel. Okay, so I can see here that I've picked up that job, and it's just red because it's overdue. That's what's going on with that. So I am going to go ahead and get started. So I'm going to hit en route. I'm on my way there, and now I'm going to go ahead and start the job. So what am I doing today? It says the thermostat is not working. The customer said it hasn't been working for 3 days now. So I'm just going to go ahead and start the job now that I've arrived. And it's going to post the time card when I've started the job. So when I'm en route, it'll start calculating my time. And then when I'm completed, it'll post my time. And if I do pause the job, it will post the job as well. And then when I start it again, it'll post the job again. So all right, so the work's been started, and then I'll bring up the time card and I'll show you that. All right, so the work's been started, and now I'm going to go ahead and finish off this job, and then I'm going to walk through that other work order that I created for Ellen, that new customer, and I'm going to say complete. customer called in because the thermostat was not working. I was able to replace the entire thermostat successfully, period. So if I am not intending on taking a payment, I tell the technicians to be more descriptive in this area. But if I am intending on taking a payment, there's a better area to be descriptive. So I'm going to say continue and complete. So I'm planning on taking a payment. So I'm going to scroll down to invoice total, and I'm going to add a line item here. I'm just going to add my service trip charge. And these are the price list items that are in QuickBooks right now. So I don't have the ability as a technician to change any of the price list items. I can just select them.
Can we grant that permission?
You can not. But I can change it here. Like I can change the price here. Like if I wanted to make it say $70 instead of the $81, that's fine. I can change it, but it's not going to. Yeah, they can edit it, but they can't permanently change the price list item.
Gotcha.
And
Okay.
that's showing. So I'm going to also add my labor. And I can, of course, change this to 2 hours if I wanted to, and it would multiply that out. And, I can see I made a mistake because I charged them for labor and I charged them for a flat rate install. So I'm just going to go ahead and remove that item, no problem. And if I need to add sales tax, I can absolutely, add sales tax to that. I must have this customer set up as a non-tax customer because I'm trying to add the sales tax here and it's not letting me, and that's because I've set the customer up as a non-tax sales as a customer.
We have a customer that's set up as a taxable customer. Can we change to non-tax?
Oh yeah, absolutely. You could change it to non-tax. Yes.
Okay.
So I'm just going to hit pay. And I'm going to say cash, check, or credit card. And I'm going to go ahead and say it's a check today. And if you did say credit card, you would absolutely punch in that credit card number and the name on the card and the expiration date and hit charge. And it would charge that card. And this is Intuit.
These are not swiped. They are manually entered.
Yeah, they are manually entered, but you can swipe it as well if you just want to use that Go Payment app from Intuit. So you would just, list the last four of the card here, and then you would just say the name on the card. The charge icon just wouldn't be available to you. So you would just be noting that it was a credit card and the amount, and then you would just open up the QuickBooks app, and then you would put it. Of course, it would already be signed in, and you would swipe the card and put the amount in.
Okay.
If you wanted to swipe it instead of keying it in.
And we usually get better rates if we actually can swipe.
That's true. You would get a 1.5 rate because you're an enterprise customer. So that's something to note. If you're not using if you're not using Intuit's Merchant, you can get a 1.5 swipe with Intuit's Merchant with Go Payment. And you're an enterprise customer, so enterprise customers get the best rates available. If you're keying it in, it would be 2.9.
I key it in here in the office.
Yeah, from the office, of course.
If somebody something in, we key it into the office. If it's out in the field, most of our crews use Clover.
Okay. Using Clover.
I would have no idea what so it's a flat 1.5.
Mm-hmm. Oh no, it's also 1.5 plus 25 cents per transaction, and then there's no monthly fee. So what I'll do for you when
plus 25 cents is it?
Yes, that's right.
Regardless of the card.
That's right. That's right. So, and like I said, it's because you're enterprise. Pro or Premier or QuickBooks Online don't get those rates. They're above 3%. So whenever I find an enterprise customer, I always make sure I have our merchant partners reach out to just get you the right information. It's either Joseph or Marvin that'll call. Do you want him to speak with Pam so he can get that information over to Pam so you guys have it?
Yeah,
Or do you
she's a
want him
lot
to speak to
at
you?
this.
Go ahead,
Have
Chris.
him talk to Pam.
Okay, great. All right. All right. So anyway, so I'm just selecting a check and I'm going to hit next because this is a live, so I don't want to put my card number in. And I'm going to just say, Rachel charge. And I'm going to go ahead and email off that payment. And now I'm finished. And now I'm going to go back and I'm going to start my second work order. So I'm just going to hit sign. You can have them sign the invoice, beforehand as well.
Any
And
issues with partial payment?
no, you could do a partial payment here.
Not that that happens often, but
Yeah, absolutely. You could just put in the right a payment amount, whatever the partial payment was. And then did you want, and after you closed it, completed that job, you could just reopen that work order very easily to assign that job, move that job forward to collect that the remainder of the payment. So I have customers do that all the time.
okay.
And I'll show you that when we're done. I'll just complete this job. I'll pretend that this was a partial payment, and then I'll reopen the the work order, and I'll move it forward and I'll show it to you.
All right.
So, all right, so I'm done here, and I'm going to go ahead and start on Ellen because she's next in the list. And it says waiting for pickup. So I'm just going to scroll through this. It says sync clogged. Okay, so I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to get started. So I'm going to just pick up my job and then I'm going to just say en route. So I'm on my way and I can see on the dispatch board that that I'm on the way. It's turned green. I can see that I'm en route. And I'm going to bring this up and get started. So I'm going to hit start. I've arrived, and what is it I'm doing? The sink's clogged. Great. I finished the job. Sink was clogged in master bedroom, period. I was able to unclog the sink, period. I was there for 1 hour, period. Didn't use any parts, and I'm going to say complete. So now I'm done. I actually I'm not going to take a payment. I can see that they listed the payment amount for me, but let's just say for whatever reason I didn't have time to finish the invoice. I'm just going to let the office bill out for that one. So I'm going to show you the 2 work orders that we completed today. Here they are. Here it is, Ellen Smith, the new customer. That's going to pop right over to QuickBooks. And the only thing as an office that you would have to do, so the process is every day you're going to go to your completed view and you're going to start at the top of those work orders. So you're going to turn this filter on to today. I want to see what are just the work orders that have come in today. And your job really is to try to get all these completed work orders over to QuickBooks so the invoices will push over. So in order to get it over to QuickBooks, the status of the invoice just has to say approved. It says not prepared right now. So I want to get this over to QuickBooks. So I'm not going to open up QuickBooks and enter in a manual invoice. I'm not going to do that. I'm just going to finish this invoice here, and then I'm going to run the sync and it's going to pop over to QuickBooks. So that would be the process going forward once you get started. So I'm done with this. I'm just going to hit approve because there's no more items that I need to add. I checked this technician's description here, and I would hit add, and that's how you come to these. If I just hit add here, oh, okay, I already added a service trip charge. I can, of course, edit this description here. I can just type okay, and then I'm going to hit save, And now I'm finished, and I'm just going to go back to my next job because I'm going to go down the list because I want to finish getting all these exported over to QuickBooks. And I can see that this one's finished because it already has an approved status listed. So if I took a payment in the field, it's going to already be approved. And there's nothing that I would have to do. But of course, I can move it out of the approved status. So I could just move it to prepared if it didn't look correct, and I could still add any charges that the customer hadn't yet paid that the technician forgot, and I can hit save. So then that way it would come over, that part would come over as a non-paid. It would come over as paid and non-paid then. So there would be a balance then due on that invoice. But so now both of those, I've approved both of those. So now I'm ready to go ahead and run the sync. So I'm just going to hit synchronize. And it says Corrigo integration. Corrigo is the name of the company that QuickBooks had designed Intuit Field Service Management. Yours is a blue box. Yours would say Intuit Field Service Management. Mine's a demonstration account, which is why it says Corrigo. And here's the little blue box that's going to come up and push over those invoices to your customer center. So are you currently doing any maintenance work right now? Any reoccurring jobs?
Not much. There are some that we will schedule out a certain time to contact, and we just set up a work order to contact them if it's something we're going to do in the fall.
Okay.
But rarely is it something we set in the schedule as that's the time we're going to physically be there.
Okay.
So if we're able to, what I would probably, rather than put that on everybody's account, I would just say if we're going to come in and check somebody's water heater in September, I would just create a service call in September now.
Yeah, you can do that.
When you create an invoice, do you have to manually enter your time, or does it automatically sync your time?
No, you'd have to manually enter the time there, but it's very simple to check your time so you can add it correctly. Every work order has a timestamp, and let me show you that. I'm just finishing off this sync, and then I'll come back and I'll show you that timestamp and where to grab that information from.
While you're doing this, if we sync something up and have to edit it later, do we just edit it in one of the two programs and then it automatically resyncs?
What would you be editing?
Let's say for the sake of discussion that the item used was incorrect and it's already been sent over to QuickBooks. Can we manually change the item to the correct item?
On the invoice?
Yes.
Yeah, so if it's already been pushed over to QuickBooks and you find that the wrong item was used, you can edit it within QuickBooks, but it's not going to push over that recorrected invoice to Intuit Field Service Management. Invoices are a one-way push. So if you've exported it to QuickBooks, if it says exported, so we just finished with that sync. So now those work orders that we completed are going to have an exported status, right? So if I wanted to go ahead and edit this invoice here, I can't. I can't edit it. I could put it in the prepared stage and take it out. But if I try to now let's see if I add something just as a test and hit approved. I wonder if it's going to give me.
I mean, obviously, especially on ones that you've already collected on, I understand that that's That's
But maybe for one for like a non-paid, right?
would be more of my concern is more on items that are unpaid or the way inventory control is big for me. So if we do a project that happens to be a bid, if I do it for $1,000, I require that everything used in that project is recorded, but it's recorded as a non-billable item.
Right.
So let's just say that I did this bid for $1,000 and they had 15 items in there and we saved it. I recognize that we have 3 more that were not accounted for. Can I add those items in, not changing the dollar amount? Can I add those items in and have them recorded so it comes out of our inventory?
Right. So if you add a price list item on a invoice in Intuit Field Service Management, it's going to decrease the on-hand counts by 1.
And that's our goal. I guess that being said, do we have the option of adding items in non-billable? We'll go through a project and we may have 30 items to put in that we account for, but it's a bid project, so we're not going to sell them per item, but I want them recorded for inventory purposes. Do you have a non-billable section?
Yeah, so could you repeat that again? Sorry.
If we went and did this project for XYZ customer, and I have told this customer we will do your job for $1,000,
Mm-hmm.
and we used 6 items in that $1,000 quote. How do I record those 6 items without those 6 items showing up as a positive dollar amount?
So you would just want to have the 6 items listed, but you don't want
The 6 items were already included in my quote, so I want to account for those 6 items, but I'm not going to necessarily sell that item to them individually.
Okay. Yeah, so you could just have a $0 rate. That would be.
Do they have to manually do that? And here's Field Edge, I will give them credit here. They've got a section that you can put items in that are billable, and they've got another section you can enter them in as non-billable. So when we enter the items in as non-billable, it records them, but when I print the invoice for the customer, they don't show up on the paper that we send to them.
Okay. Yeah, so you can send them something with just $0 on it, like a $0 item, but it doesn't have to have a rate associated with it. I guess we don't have that within Intuit Field Service Management, that exact thing that Field Edge has that you're describing. We don't have that exact feature. It might help if you just show me what you're talking about on your Field Edge. I could just make you the presenter, and you could just bring me through it to give me a better idea. Let me just finish this.
Okay.
Bring this over, and then we'll take a look at these invoices, and then I think you want to see this new customer come over here, finish off, and then the items. You said the items in QuickBooks you would never know the difference if you edit an item in Intuit Field Edge. It doesn't necessarily edit that item in QuickBooks, or you edit an item in QuickBooks, it doesn't edit that item in Field Edge. Is that right?
Well, ironically, it will. And I got to verify this on pricing. If I edit it in Field Edge, it will record that over into QuickBooks. But if I edit it in QuickBooks, it does not reciprocate. And the problem with that is all of our vendor invoices, so if I buy an item XYZ, I record that purchase in QuickBooks. I do not want, nor do we have time to go through every time a price changes on that item to enter it in QuickBooks, as well as open up Field Edge and re-change the pricing there.
Yeah, so that's not the case with field service. Like you can edit it, you can add in a price list item here or change a price list item here, and it'll automatically update in that technician's phone.
Okay.
So they'll have that in real time, so you can
So the
do
field
that here.
service did have the same ability to have the sub items of the material list as in regular QuickBooks.
Yes.
Okay. And I do like that. That's a feature that we don't have currently.
Yeah. And I think it's also good it's also really nice that you have the ability to test out, like I said, with that free user I mentioned. And
Yeah.
here's that non-paid invoice that came over for that new customer, and now Ellen is already, she's in QuickBooks. Here she is.
And you don't care if we receive payment in QuickBooks or in field service?
Nope, you can receive it in either. I think it's nice to receive it in QuickBooks. You can receive it in Intuit Field Service or in whatever you want. There's a paid button here, take payment, and then you could put cash, check, or credit card, and you can enter in the credit card amount, credit card number directly into Intuit Field Service, or you can push over that non-paid invoice and email it to them. So personally, I think it makes sense if you've got a non-paid invoice to take that payment out, to process that payment in QuickBooks, because you can, if you choose to email it off to the customer, that a copy of that email is going to go to your sent box, so you can track whether or not that email was whether or not that customer actually was given that invoice. So if I wanted,
that brings up another question. I know it's not necessarily related, but if we email a customer out of field service, do we have the ability to track that email?
if you email a customer out of field service, it doesn't go to your synchronize with your email box, so you can't see that you did send them an email. So
and neither does Field Edge. What we have done is we have put a setting in there that automatically, anytime an email is sent, a blind carbon copy is sent to an email I designate. Is that an option?
You
I
could
don't want to have to manually enter that into every single customer list.
That's a good point. You can, the customer email, you would just change to the email that you wanted it sent to, rather than the customer's email. You could include,
and I want the customer to receive it, but, and again, and this took us a little bit to figure out on Field Edge, I don't have to manually enter in my email address. There is a setting that every single email that goes out of that Field Edge is sent to the designated customer, but it's also blind carbon copied back to me. So I have a record of everything the reason I do that, I have a record of everything that we send. If we did something incorrect, if we had something typed in that was incorrect, we always have a copy of that email to review. But I do not want to have to, every time I set up a customer, manually enter in my email address if we can at all avoid that.
Okay. I think to have it carbon copied back to you, I'm going to check with my technical team on that question and get back to you. Let me check on that.
Understood.
And see if that is possible, and I will definitely email you. I've got a call coming up at 12 o'clock here. What have I not covered, that you want to see more of? I think.
What do I have to do to make mine live?
Yeah, exactly. So I'll place an order for you to make yours live. So I can do that today. And you'll just get an email, and it's no cost to you. I'll
Now,
just,
is
you'll
this
get an
a
email.
separate, it's a separate program, or do I just access it through QuickBooks Enterprise?
And no, it's a website that you're going to go to, and you're going to get an email, and it's just going to say like qblogin.corrigo.com, and it's just going to be a website, and then it's just going to give you a username and password and a company name, and then you'll enter in the username and password that's going to be in that email. It'll be your username, which will be your email, and then the password will be change, and then the company name will be what would you like the company name to be? H&H Plumbing with an ampersand?
Yeah, that's fine.
Okay. H&H Plumbing. Do you want the ink on it?
Sure.
Okay. So yeah, that'll be the I mean, is that how it appears on your invoices?
Yeah, it is.
Okay. So then that's what I'll make the company name, and then you'll log in with that information, and then you'll see this account. And you'll be able to go to the settings and set up, set up everything. I'll
Now, does
include.
login give me access both on my PC as well as on the mobile device or the tablet?
Yeah, exactly. So it'll have a mobile user with that user. So you'll go to the People tab, and you'll just make sure that you hit New Person. It'll say like Sample Person, and you'll hit New Person, and you're going to put your first name, your last name in, your role as manager, and then right here where it says Mobile User, just select Yes, and it'll prompt you to make a login and a password and retype that password. So I think it's easy to just write Chris, and then log in.
Going to be a different license though for me to have access both to my PC as well as the mobile?
Nope.
Okay.
Nope.
And I don't have access, this is silly to me on Field Edge, to see what my technicians see in the field unless I want to purchase another license. So sometimes them through questions or concerns or glitches is difficult because I don't see what they see.
Right. Yeah. I can submit an order for you to activate that free user.
Okay.
And then, so I'll do that. And then my information is going to be, you have my information, I think?
I've got it on an email.
Yeah, I can
through
email
the app
all.
itself or through the program itself. Do I have access to message you?
You can just email me directly.
Okay.
I'm the representative you would be working with if you'd like to work with me. And if you do want to purchase, just call me. I'm the direct representative in Iowa for Intuit Field Service Management. So you definitely makes sense to just reach out to me if you're interested in moving forward at all. I am going to send you an email. The 800 number I'm going to include in that email is going to be to Corrigo, and they will help you navigate your account. So making your, a mobile user for yourself, if downloading that app on your phone so you can test it out. If you've got questions about they'll walk you through how to do that. If you wanted me to help you do that, I can, but it would just be for a fee that I would charge. So it's much better if you're just testing out the system to go with the free option and just call the 1-800 number, and since you're just figuring out whether or not you want to use it or not. So I will submit that order for you, Chris, today, and just keep me posted on whether or not they got you that username and password.
I appreciate it.
Yeah, thank you. And also, I did submit your information while we were speaking to our merchant team. So then that way because you said you were using Clover, and as an enterprise user, you are getting really competitive rates on the merchant. So I have that information out. So hopefully they'll get in touch with you.
All righty.
All right. Thanks, you guys. I appreciate the time. And I will send you a recording of today's demonstration as well.
Thank you.
Okay. Thanks, everyone. Take care.
Bye.
Bye now.